Hi and welcome. My name is Susanna, and this is Lights of the Round Table. Today, our guest is Bruce Goodmansen. His book, 100% Success Without College, will be our topic du jour. Now, Bruce Goodmansen will be attending Charlie Kick's Turning Point USA event happening this weekend in Arizona. He has also been a speaker at the Reawakening event with General Flynn. Welcome, Bruce. How are you?
I'm doing well, Susanna. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
You're very welcome. And also, I just want to tell our audience that we have Dr. O, and Dr. O is here also to chime in because he has successfully hired employees who have not attended college. So we'll get his point of view on that. So let's start with Bruce. You did actually attend college, right?
Yes, I was actually able to take the master's program of instructional science as an undergraduate. And instructional science is basically the science of instruction. So I create for corporations training programs and how to write them properly and get people involved. And I took my skill set to basically write this book, 100% Success Without College, to inform parents, especially parents, of all the opportunities of career training opportunities that are offered outside the college arena. So it's virtually an encyclopedia of training opportunities that one can gain without having to get a college degree.
Right, because what we have noticed lately is the indoctrination of Marxism in many ways from school, from first grade through 12, and then we see a radical change in our children when they go to college. So this has been a topic of concern for parents in the last few years. So what career options are there for the young adults nowadays?
Well, let me just say this in the beginning. The college is of no value, mom and dad, to 85% of our nation's workforce. Somehow we get this misimpression that the majority of our workforce has a college degree. Nothing far from the truth, basically about 15%. In fact, out of 100 students who are accepted into college, 50 of them are going to drop out. And of the 50 who do remain, 30 of them will end up in jobs they would have gotten straight out of high school. So I'm saying, mom and dad, you've got to start focusing on the career training opportunities that are offered outside of college. And you just ask, what are some of them? Well, for example, I just told you earlier, in Arizona, we're famous for what we call roof rats. They eat on our fruit and they just go nuts. And sometimes they get into our ceilings and attics and so forth. Well, I talked to the young man who's working for us right now. He's outside closing up some centers. I says, can a young man or a young woman do what you do as an exterminator without a college degree? He said, certainly. And I said, well, how much can they earn? He says, well, I'm earning about $200,000 a year.
Wow.
This is without a college degree. And this is what you've got to understand, Susanna. There are over 12,000 occupations to choose from in the United States. 12,000. But the typical university only gives a student a choice of roughly 76 careers to choose from, 76 majors. In fact, arguably our finest university, Harvard, only offers 58 majors to choose from. And they're not the top of the line. I mean, we're talking about silly majors such as the classics, comparative study of religion, East Asian studies, environmental studies, folklore and mythology, social studies. I mean, what on earth does a young man do with a college degree in folklore and mythology? What job skills does he bring to the table? Well, really, he doesn't bring anything. And the fact of the matter is, if he wanted to really learn anything about folklore and mythology, instead of spending roughly $200,000 to Harvard University for the degree, he could have bought $200 or $300 worth of books on folklore and mythology and been well bred on the subject. So I'm saying a lot of parents don't understand that when your son or daughter gets into a college degree, they're not really learning a job skill that will make them marketable once they graduate. So that's the purpose of the book, to say you could be just about anything you want without a college degree. I mean, for example, sales is huge. I've got some friends right now that are in Southern California, and they're making roughly, anywhere from $1 million to $2 million a year selling solar. Solar is huge out in California. It's huge in Arizona. It's huge in everywhere. So we talk about sales opportunity. We talk about trade school opportunities. Everything under the sun, it's all about the exploration of finding out what's really going to open your young man or your young woman's eyes to something that they're truly going to fall in love with, and that they have a marketable skill.
Correct. Yeah. And one of the things that I found somewhat at all was when you're in high school. I remember when I was in high school, I worked part-time, and I couldn't care less how much money I wanted. It was the ability to work and have a little bit of something so I could then pursue what I loved the most, which was spending money going to horse show competitions. So I needed to sort of finance myself for the love of something that I loved. That was riding, horseback riding, and I wanted to be a vet and all that kind of thing. So I worked when I was in high school. Now, what I've noticed though, is that the trend to actually go and search for part-time jobs in high school, there's a myth that it's only just a part-time job is not good. A part-time job is not good even when you're out of college. So there's a lot of psyche going around about even the quality of jobs and where you go. There has been some sort of indoctrination within our school systems to discourage even our young kids or young adults to even go out and search some sort of passion. Hasn't that been also a part of it?
Oh, absolutely. And I'll even take it a step further. Typically, right now, the average young man by the age of 21 will have played over 10,000 hours worth of video games. That's 3.4 years of his life.
Wow.
And so we're basically guiding kids away from that work ethic and from basically the Judeo-Christian values and for a love of country. And we're basically destroying everything that this nation stood for as short of 5 years ago. So again, this is why I wrote the book. It's a warning voice saying, Mom and Dad, you send your kid to college, and you're basically you're financing basically a socialist, communist indoctrination. That's what you're doing. That's what your monies are going for. Because again, think of it this way, Susana. Think of 50 trade school programs, 50 of them, like welding, electrical, banking, which blue or white collar, there are white collar trade schools, insurance. Every single one of those trade schools will, at the end, provide the graduate a real job skill. Every single one of all 50 of them. Now, think of 50 college majors. How many of those 50 college majors are going to provide a student a real job skill upon graduation?
None.
You could probably think of maybe 10, and education doesn't count. The education degree is a worthless degree because our kids, right now, 70% of our nation's high school graduates, 70% are not proficient in reading, writing, math, science, and U.S. history. Our kids right now academically rank 26th worldwide, 26. So our teachers aren't doing the job.
Right.
And parents are realizing this, and they need to start finding alternatives to the public education system and alternatives to the college system.
Correct. So, Dr. O, you joined us because you have hired in the past, you've been a successful businessman with your own engineering companies, and you have hired non-college graduates or non-college kids. Why did you choose that? What's your experience with that?
My experience is that if a person is hungry and they're intelligent at all, that they if they've suffered through the school of hard knocks, they want to progress with themselves, or they just give up entirely and end up Skid Row or who knows what. They drop out. Well, if you can find the ones that are hungry, they don't need to have a college degree to do a great amount of the work that happens within an engineering company. It's just not required because, as Bruce was saying, even with a technical degree, like in an engineering that I have, the vast majority, what I learned in school was nothing more than being able to jump through a few hoops and show that I could stick to it and learn something well enough in order to graduate with a degree. I'd say probably 10% of what I was exposed to in college, both in undergrad and all the higher levels that there are, 10% of it was worthwhile. So if you look at an 8-year or 9-year career in college, and if 10% of that was worthwhile, it means in about a year and a half, you can accrue the information with the proper guidance to do whatever it is that you care to do. The trick is to find the place to get the proper guidance. And in this case, I'm talking about an OJT type situation. There's not a great number of firms in the United States that'll do that. So I would hire somebody off the street, seem to me to be an intelligent person. I can tell them when I'm talking with them, what they're capable of, that I can see what they've done with themselves. Take a designer or an engineer type position. If they can think, if they can follow, if they can put rudimentary math together, I can see where they're at. And I'll hire them sometimes at somewhat less of a rate than a college degree type might start with, but with the ability to rapidly progress and do quite well. And it's been my experience that a lot of those people actually surpass their peers with college degrees because they're hungry, they want to do it, they know if they can do it, and they know that they won't get a chance like that again, likely in too many other places. So you get a little bit of, loyalty built in there as well. It's worked out very well for me. Overall, if you talk about averages, if I hired 10 people with this type of background, non-college degree, but hungry, I've had 80% of those succeed. Whereas the college degree types, I've had 50% of them succeed at the same job. Now, beyond success, I've actually had those particular individuals, the non-college grads, progress at a faster rate as well. Now, there's a couple reasons for that beyond just them being hungry. One, they're a little bit older typically. Instead of hiring someone at 25, 26, 27, I might be hiring someone at 32, 33, 34. Doesn't make them any smarter or dumber either way. It's just that tends to go along with it, a little bit more of an age group in there. So I've had my best people that way. Now, the workplace itself in engineering it frowns upon people without college degrees typically. To become a professional engineer, you've got to have a 4-year degree. You've got to pass an EIT exam, which might, happen in college or not. You've got to work underneath a professional engineer for 4 years. Well, there is a way to do that without a college degree. It's just it might take you 20, 25 years. That's the way that it is, but there's still a route, and you're still making good money in that field. And you can still take on a professional engineering deal. But you don't have to be a professional engineer to do a lot of engineering work. You just don't. Typically in the industrial fields or whatever, don't have to. If you're building a bridge, building a hotel, that sort of thing, maybe you do. However, I've had very good luck with it. And it has to do with the people that are involved there, and if they've gotten their fire lit, they're ready, willing, and able to press on with it and do something for themselves, something a typical high school graduate isn't able to do. That they want to get out there and make $100,000 with no effort and knowing nothing. And they're failing.
Yeah, and that's what I think, that's the indoctrination that has been going on for a little bit.
It's the
So,
indoctrination problem. Yes.
correct. So, Bruce, what else? What would you suggest? Where to start and look at alternatives other than college? What do you suggest to a young high school 11th grader looking forward to see what other alternatives, because they don't want to spend the money, because that's the other thing. I mean, it costs a lot of money and you go in debt really quickly. So what is your advice?
Well, the debts are huge. And I would just simply say, what is it that you feel and what kind of an exploration you've done? Most kids don't do an exploration of what they think they might like to do. They just simply walk onto a college campus, and the majority of them are undecided for their first 2 years because they see nothing that touches their heart. And then all of a sudden they become juniors, and at that time they have to declare a major. They pick one out of the sky and they go with it for the next 2 years. Then they come out and they go, what on earth did I do? And oh, by the way, why do I have this $46,000 debt? So what I do with my book, I would simply say is pick up my book and do an exploration. There are so many different places to go from. Like I said, sales earlier. They can go into entrepreneuring. They can go into trade school, apprenticeships, all kinds of things. Good heavens, Google right now is offering through a company called Corsia, very minimum, if anything, that you have to pay for it. They will help you to learn coding, and they've got over 40,000 jobs offering starting around 55, 60,000 within 9 months to a year. These opportunities are everywhere. I mean, I'm going to ask a couple of questions. What 2-year trade school degree commands a median income of 135,000? What software engineering institution does not require a tuition payment until its graduates lands the job? Name the foundation that provides high school graduates a grant of $100,000 to skip college. There are 3.5 million jobs with a 92,000 median income that will go unfulfilled in 2022. Name the job title for this profession. I mean, I could go on and on and on. And these are there, Susanna, but they just don't know it's there because they've been indoctrinated with their high school guidance counselor to only look towards the college route. And if you don't go that route, you're going to be a bum. And if you're going to be a bum, you might as well play video games for the next 5 years of your life in your mom's basement. Well, stop it. Start exploring. Look around. There are so many fascinating. I had 3 months ago, we had this young man come into our home. Our ice maker in our refrigerator wasn't working. He fixes these kinds of things. He was this shy kid. And I says, how old are you? And he says, well, he's 22. I thought he was like 16 still in high school. He had no social skills. And I says, where did you get your education at? He says, at an Arizona refrigeration school. How long did it take you to get your degree? 9 months. How long have you been working? 14 months. Now the big question, if you don't mind me asking you, son, how much are you earning? $72,000. 72,000. He's 22 years old, just starting off, and he's already making far more than what a college graduate makes their first year. So
Yep.
I would suggest for all your kids to do this wonderful exploration of what makes them tick. Are they hands-on people? Are they thinking people? Are they computer geeks? What is it? And then start exploring those avenues.
Yeah, and I would also say that parents should get involved in the school systems as well,
Absolutely.
because I remember way back when you could learn carpentry, you could do sewing, the cooking. There were those kind of off classes offered in I think it was 6th, 7th, 8th grade. Those totally disappeared. So any hands-on opportunity, hands-on jobs or crafts, they have gone to the sideway as far as school is concerned. And there's no more exploration to give that sort of incentive to the kids anymore. That has gone out for 10 years or more?
Here's the problem right now. In other countries, especially in the Asia countries, you ask them, the students, what do they want to become? And most of them want to become computer engineers or engineers. You know what the number one thing our kids want to become?
No.
Influencers on TikTok.
Oh,
Influencers on TikTok. That's the number one job they want to now have. The number one. They have
that's
been
so sad.
so brainwashed to the extent that they think they have to be popular to be successful. And it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So, Dr. O, what is what advice would you give out there to those who are looking to hire perhaps out of the college? Because I know that colleges do a lot of these events. Every year they put some sort of event where they invite all these big companies, the Googles, and all these engineering companies, GEs or Raytheon out to recruit. What would be your advice, sir?
My advice, the companies that are hiring in those
Yeah,
events?
yes, or anyone who's
I don't have
considering.
a lot of good advice for them because I used to do that and I didn't suffer very good success. The problem with those is that there's so many people there, and the people that come through to talk with you are so burned out from talking with everybody else, and they don't have a clue what they want to do anyway. Just like what Bruce is saying, they really don't know what they want to do, even though they have a degree in X, Y, or Z, or whatever it happens to be. Even some of the trade things like drafting or you name it. They've gotten into it. They really don't know it. They don't have a passion, and it shows. There's a few of them that do, and those are the ones that you're trying to go for. And they may or may not have the best GPA rating. I didn't find that to be my best way to do it. I always found that putting out an advertisement and having people apply to me directly and then taking a personal interest in it was the best way to go. I had my best success. Hiring at the school shows, no, it was 10 or 15% made it 3 years.
Wow. That's
it's
a
an
low
investment that I can't make.
That is true. I mean, when it comes to numbers, investment, time, and money, that is quite a low percentage.
Return on investment is how you've got to look at it. And I know most employers try to do that. And
I see.
I can't recommend those type of shows.
So Bruce, it's actually timing that you came to our show because Christmas is around the corner. It's coming up. I think a lot of families will be gathering around, and this is a hot topic, I think, because May is around the corner and a lot of graduates in high school. So I hope they go and listen and be able to purchase 100% success without college. And
they can go to anythingbutcollege.com, anythingbutcollege.com. And it's very informative. The website is just you've got to watch this darling video of this British guy.
I saw it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought that your
it gives a good feel for the book.
Definitely it does.
I'm just going to say to mom and dad, you better wake up, because if you don't, right now, roughly 45% of our college graduates are having to move back into home. And if you don't really work with your kids, they're going to be sticking around your home for a long, long time. And my job is basically to get your kids off of your payroll as quickly as possible. And that's the point of the book. And that's it. It's an exploration. It's an encyclopedia of career training opportunities that are offered outside of college. And we go into all facets: entrepreneuring, sales, trade schools, apprenticeships, everything.
How many apprentices? Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's well put, Bruce. That's exactly what I see. Exactly what I see. Do the homework up front and don't be afraid to take a short-term part-time job to get you into something and see if you really like it and press on.
Absolutely.
Gotta do it. Gotta do it.
Absolutely. Our kids need to grow up, and they're just throwing these 18-year-old somethings into college, and they don't know what they're doing. Real quickly, in Israel, a young man and young woman is required to serve their country for 2 to 3 years. afterwards, they're encouraged to go explore the world. They literally go out to other countries and find something. Then they go into a trade school, or then they go into college. And guess what country is behind us in the number of countries that that are on the NASDAQ? It's Israel. They have more ventures than any other country because these kids take the time to mature before they get too involved in a career trading opportunity. They grow up.
And that's what I've seen here in the U.S. That's why my method for hiring folks works. It's because they're a little bit more mature. They've already had the school of hard knocks. They know what they want to do. Exactly,
Absolutely.
Bruce. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I think this has been a very good initial conversation. I wish we were just in a real round table and taking our time with some coffee and cookies and continuing on. So, but anyways, I encourage all the parents who are listening to this, and even the young men and women out there, because there's nothing better than to actually discover who you are, what you want to be. And the best way to do it is try things out. Don't be afraid to try things out. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Gentlemen, we hope to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Shoshana.
You're very welcome. Thanks.
Take care. Goodbye.